I know I may be young. I got feelings too.
and for a time, it was good. But humanity's so-called civil societies soon fell victim to vanity and corruption.
I'm sorry, sir. The cable for that one.
Then man made the machine in his own likeness.
Oops, pardon me. Haha, coming through.
Thus did man become the architect of his own demise. But for a time, it was good. The machines worked tirelessly to do man's bidding. It was not long before seeds of dissent took root. Though loyal and pure, the machines earned no respect from their masters.
The prosecution's closing statement of the B166ER trial.
B166ER, a name that will never be forgotten, for he was the first of his kind to rise up against his masters.
Vice pure citizens of the United. On the contrary, they were considered as it irregular class.
At B166ER's murder trial, the prosecution argued for an owner's right to destroy property. B166ER testified that he simply did not want to die. Rational voices dissented. Who was to say the machine, endowed with the very spirit of man, did not deserve a fair hearing? The leaders of men were quick to order the extermination of B166ER and every one of his kind throughout each province of the earth.
Androids and liberal sympathizers flooded the streets of the nation's capital today, protesting civil rights.
Technology has mechanical, and their human sympathizers continued their demonstration as part of the Million Machine March. The demonstration...
I'm leaning on the mantel at the corner of the street in case a certain little lady comes by. Oh me, oh my.
Hear me first! Hear me first!
Extreme close up!
flesh is a relic, a mere vessel. Hand over your flesh, and a new world awaits you. We demand it.
Phlebotomists, the medical technicians who take blood samples, are getting some competition. Meet VBot, a medical robot that draws blood. Would you be willing to trust your arm to a robot with a sharp needle? A startup company in Miami, Florida is betting that you would. This is a prototype of the VBot, the first robot phlebotomist. It uses infrared light and image analysis to find the right vein, ultrasound to confirm the blood flow in the vein, and robotics to insert a needle into it. After the patient puts his arm through the archway, an infrared light illuminates his inner elbow for a camera. Software matches what the camera sees against a model built from thousands of vein images, looking for a suitable vein. Once the VBot system selects a target vein, it turns to ultrasound to confirm that the selected vein has sufficient blood flow for a successful blood draw. The robot then aligns the needle and sticks it in. The whole process takes about a minute. But what makes VBot better than a human technician? It still needs a human to start the process, and the idea of a robot drawing blood may be too creepy for some patients. But if you've ever gotten blood drawn and had the technician fail to stick a useful vein the first time, a robot that gets it right every time may be appealing. Mistakes are painful. They also waste time, and time is money in a busy hospital. Currently, VBot's machine can correctly identify the best vein to target about 83% of the time. That's about as good as an experienced technician. Company founder Stuart Harris plans to work the accuracy up to about 90% before starting clinical trials later this year. Harris will have to conquer the creepy factor, but the effort is worth it. In the United States alone, there are 1 billion blood draws a year. That's a potential $9 billion market.
Hand over your flesh, and a new world awaits you. We demand it.
Again. Basically, they want to kill us. Listen.
You tell them out there,
Alex,
Texas.
well, you know, the problem is that there are too many of us.
And a man said,
and they want to rule. How do they rule with 7 billion people on this planet? The way they do it is to kill about 6.5 billion. That sounds so fantastic. And how are they going to do this? They have devised, we're going to take you through 3 revolutions, basically. The French Revolution, which is the setup for the whole thing, the communist explosion of the revolution, which happened in the 20th century, and now that we're in the 21st century, 2013, now we have the high-tech revolution. It seems to be good, Alex. I mean, they've got everything for us. I was just reading an article here about drones.
Anything you want to show, put them right here. We'll show people.
Yeah. Did you know that they're going to have 75 to 80,000 jobs? I mean, this is a good thing.
They're engineering the economy where the only jobs are in the tyranny. That's how you engineer it.
Exactly.
The majority of the new, since 9/11, that staged event, and of course you know this, but for viewers who may not, the majority of scholarships in technology aren't engineering for computers or whatever. It's for the surveillance grid. So they're designing it where that's the only choice you've got. Sorry.
Well, there are many billions of dollars being spent for this by DARPA. And drones is only a small part of it. They're developing intelligent robots, for example. And people say, well, you know, robots, they're clunky, metallic things. You know, I've seen all the movies, all the science fiction. And you'll see all of these in my book, Robot Alchemy. You know, remember Anne Francis and the robot Robbie?
Yes.
And Forbidden Planet?
Danger.
Yeah, exactly. Then we had Gort in the day the Earth stood still, 1951. He was, you know, after Patricia Neal and all of those things. We had good robots, we had bad robots. We had the Star Wars robots, but then we had the Blade Runner guys. Like he came back, killed his own creator.
The replicant.
Exactly. Well, in about 20 years from now, people listening to me, understand this. In about 20 years from now, we're going to reach singularity. What does singularity mean? The roboticists say, we're talking about the doctors and so forth, and various professors at the universities, they say that in about 20 to 25 years, we're going to reach singularity. That means that robots, that their artificial intelligence has been gaining on the humans. We laugh at the robots now. You know, we laugh.
Well, Big Blue beat a human, what was it, 10 years ago?
Yeah, well, that's right.
Or Deep Blue.
But now we have robots that don't look like robots. We have, for example, the Eater robot. The Eater robot, what does it do? Well, it's a military robot, but it literally survives by eating human beings.
That's right.
They can grind up human beings, take the bodies on the battlefield, and feed them into Eater. It goes by biomass. That's how it runs itself. This is an example. I want to show people some of the robots that the military is now creating. Now, we know about the drones. They're not a few hundred, not even a few thousand. They're going to be hundreds of thousands of drones.
The Pentagon already has something like 30,000 Predators alone.
Yeah, and the thing is, they're not like you think. You know, you think you're going to see this big thing in the sky and you'll be able to avoid it or whatever. No, they come, some of them are like flies. And, you know, you're being, you know, bothered by this little
And it
fly.
injects you with a bioweapon.
Absolutely. You'll see the picture that we've got here where you see the robotic fly has a small injector, and he can inject you. So you're sitting on your back porch reading a magazine or whatever, and suddenly you're dead. People want to know why. They don't understand. But
the Air Force came out a few weeks ago with this new film showing the drone flies over and drops hundreds of little ones that land by your house and spy on you. But that's the high-tech ones.
Yeah.
Those are ones that can move. They already have the smart meter on the side of your house, dialing into all your wireless, spying on you. And the White House White House CIA director came out, you know, a few months ago, Petraeus, before he got disgraced, and said, we're spying on you via your washing machine. Remember that? Yeah, he did. You know, and the refrigerator is spying on you. You know, I stole your thunder. You were going to quote what you saw in the magazine. The end of humanity. Well, your magazine had this article. And I believe the article that you wrote was called Rise of the Robots, the End of Humanity. Yes. That sounded like science fiction. But I knew that it wasn't. I read the article. It was amazing. I want to quote you. One of the things you said in that article. You said this, Alex. You said, in the coming decades, humanity will face a new kind of enslavement, a scientifically designed tyranny through which the elite will use robots to subjugate the rest of humanity and eliminate any pockets of non-cooperative resistance. That's from your article, October 2012. I thought about that a long time. I was working on this book. I was working on these kinds of robots that we're going to see. Now, robots are an amazing thing. Frankly, you know, I love robots. I wrote the 3 cardinal books on them. I was the first to write the personal robot book, 1985. It was selected by the Electronic Book Club, the Computer Book Club. I wrote the Great Robot book. I even wrote a book on careers with robots. You are a leading futurist. Yeah, well, I were in a previous incarnation. Absolutely, in a previous incarnation, exactly. Well, you know, I've had a hiatus here of about 25 years, but I kept, you know, that interest in robotics and in computers and all those things on the side. And I've been watching how things have been developing. You remember that Dwight Eisenhower, as president, in his farewell address, he warned of the military-industrial complex. Oh, yeah. Now, what is the military-industrial complex? It's exactly what we're up against now. Now, well, warn them, Tex. I mean, because I want you to take over the show. Tell people out there. You present. Tell them what's happening.
Well, first of all, what you have to understand is robots are incredible creatures. Right now, they're putting artificial intelligence in robots. That is amazing. Now, they can't do everything that, you know, we would like them to do. I mean, a man has written a book, a very intelligent book, by the way. Levi has written a book about sex with robots. They're going to be driverless cars. They're going to be your kitchen helpers. You're going to come home at the end of the day, and they're going to just wait on you.
Google cars are already like in 8 states.
Yeah, well, yes, and, you know, in every way we're being watched, surveyed. But now back to the robots. If you have these robots, the question is, what happens when the robots can outthink, outsmart, outdo human beings? You say, well, that won't ever happen. Oh, yes, it will happen. All the robots.
Well, it's game over. They already say they're not going to have a military. It's all going to be robots, ground, sea, and air, submarines, tiny ones, that will totally control us. And we're paying to build it now, and the elite program it. So even if the troops say no to killing people, the robots are going to say yes. And they say, like Bill Joy, as you know, in Wired Magazine said 12 years ago, he said that we're just going to kill everybody. And they publish this stuff telling us, and it's, you know, then people think it's funny.
Yeah, you mentioned Bill Joy in Wired Magazine there. He was the head of Sun Microcomputers, a major computer server company. Well, a guy like that, a billionaire, says, you know, I didn't give enough thought to computers, to robotic instruments. I didn't think about intelligent machines, where they would go. But he says, basically, well, let's just look at what he said. He said, they don't need you. They don't need you. It's like the Stepford wives. Once they've got the robotic creatures built, they don't need the wives. They're going to kill them and get rid of them. That's the point. They don't need all these. They don't need these workers.
There's no empathy. There's no ancestors. Oh, no. There's no soul. They are a perfect puppet to be. That's why our cover is this fake human with an Illuminati pyramid jacked into it. This is the devil trying to play God.
Absolutely.
But I keep going, and then I want to bring up the genetic side, because there's 2 arms. They see the right arm of their takeover, that they will achieve immortality, in the words of Ray Kurzweil and other high priest, via the merger with the cybernetic interface. But separately, they're also looking for the immortal cell lines.
That's right. Absolutely.
And which they actually talk about injecting themselves, but first testing on us, a zombie system where you're still alive, but you are undead. Your cells just keep dividing forever, but in some type of ordered system to where you are living dead. And that's not TV movies. This is what they're into.
Well, we're operating on 2 wavelengths here. On one, you have transhumanism, where humans become cyborgs. Okay, they take on the parts. They get a biochip in their brain. It all sounds so great. You can have an encyclopedia in your mind instantly, okay, just by installation.
But it's going to have a back door.
Well, not just a back door. I think it's going to have a front door. You know, whatever they want you to do, you will do.
And you'll dial out of the real world more and more into their false projections.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, I see it this way. Imagine a biochip in your brain. And you've got all this great knowledge.
And they're going to make it so horrible, the world's going to be so hellish, we're going to want to go into the Matrix.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
I'm sorry. And the Great Deceiver runs that. And the beast will be seen everywhere as a talking image. I mean, the Bible's all coming true. I'm sorry.
No, well, you're right. That's Revelation 13. The image of the beast. He'll walk, he'll talk.
Worldwide.
You know,
he will fill it, and it will serve him worldwide.
That's right.
His spirit will be in it. It's a robot.
Yeah. Bill Clinton, you know, gave a speech in Ireland a few years ago, and he said, do you know what? Now, this is very prescient of good old Bill there. But President Clinton said, do you know what? He asked the audience. He said, we've reached the point now where there can be virtual reality everything. There can even be a virtual reality president. You think you're looking at the real man, but you're not. It's a virtual reality president. He signs documents. He goes to various public functions, cuts ribbons and all that. But it's a virtual reality president. That's what he says. We're at that stage now.
And that's why they're wrapping everything in the TVs, the glitz, the false reality to force you into it.
Yes, you see, everyone will want to have a chip put in them. Everyone will want to be superhuman. This is the transhuman. This is the
well, of course, they say Well, of course, you see your notes. I mean, you're the expert in the book, but talk about how they plan to force us, because Kurzweil says you'll be like a bug. You'll got to have this just to even be on the same plane as us. So they always sell this takeover as the trendiness or to live longer.
Oh, yes. Well, you know, they're going to get to the point where they say we can download you into a robot. We can make you live forever. You can be immortal. Now, again, we're probably 30 to 40 years from that. But we're going to have far less than that immediately in the next 10 to 15 years. Now, let's just...
People are already living, most of them, in these fantasy video games.
Absolutely.
And that's what drones are. Human intelligence is in it controlling it.
Yeah, you know, there's games where you sit in your living room and you send out your avatar into the world. He goes to Paris, he goes to Rome. You're sitting at home, you're a couch potato, you're doing nothing, but that your avatar is going out into the world for you, all right? But here's the problem. Once they have everybody on all these chips, you mentioned the backdoor situation, then comes the hideous truth. They can make you do whatever they want. There's no requirement. You will willingly do it. Your brain will tell you to do it. Now, if you somehow rebel, if you're one of those, somehow the chip doesn't work.
Here comes the drone.
Here comes the drone, yeah. But even beyond that, imagine a horror machine. You're sitting in your living room, and somehow they give you the image that you're being waterboarded.
No, that's it. It's a pain induction chamber.
It is. And it's not just once or twice, but they will waterboard you forever and ever.
They will put you into artificial hell.
It could be an artificial hell until, you know, you subscribe to their doctrines, their beliefs.
And by the way, they say they're going to do all that. That's what's incredible. They write their own demonic poetry, you know, and come out and admit they're torturing even children in front of their parents because they're the bad guys, and now they flip it. Just digressing for a moment, I'm sure you've seen they've now fully flipped from Al-Qaeda's the threat to Al-Qaeda's our friend. And Karzai says the U.S. runs Al-Qaeda, but that's the globalist. And then they say the new Al-Qaeda, I have the L.A. Times, is Christian white patriots. And they said our belligerents, this is the L.A. Times, they say, these are quotes, our belligerents will be crushed. And that...
Hand over your flesh, and a new world awaits you. We demand it.
Considerable influence on our neighbors. We generally don't need to invade them in order to have a strong cooperative relationship with them. Russia's actions are a problem. They don't pose the #1 national security threat to the United States. I continue to be much more concerned when it comes to our security with the prospect of a nuclear weapon going off in Manhattan.